Welcome back to EDI Sports Cards. What is going on in New York? If you are not watching NHL hockey, if you are not following on Twitter, but basically New York City has gone crazy over what has happened at MSG and the New York Rangers. There even was someone who started a rumor that Gerard Gallant should be fired as head coach of the New York Rangers. So we're going to get into it. If you're new to this channel, this is EDI Sports Cards. We cover sports cards and the sports behind the cards. So if you're new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button. So let's get into what happened with the New York Rangers. So what I want to go over, there are 4 keys to why the Rangers lost this series. And that's it. I mean, these are the 4 things that the Rangers did wrong. And if they want to fix this going into next season, they have to address these 4 keys. So the first is the mental game. The Rangers did not play like they were winners. That's it. Now, for those of you that actually know my background, I'm a nationally recognized 21st century skills expert. Now, what that really means is that I know certain skills. There are 5 skills: leadership, team building, problem solving, sales, and communication. What the Rangers did not have is a team. That's it. They had leadership. They didn't have a team. Everybody on that team didn't understand their role. Individually, players played well. The problem is they didn't play as a team, and the Devils did. The Devils went into the series and said, we're going to win or lose together. And the Rangers never came around to actually get to that place. They had it last year. They didn't have it this year. Now, how do you blame somebody for that? Can you put the blame on Coach Gerard Gallant? Not really, because there's no NHL coach in the league that knows how to get that out of a team. It actually is something that the players do themselves. Unless you want to change the way coaching is, you can't expect Gerard Gallant to be able to get the players to play like a team. Now, I do leadership coaching, I do team building coaching, I do all of this stuff. And quite honestly, in 2023, you can't say certain things to people anymore. Like what Gerard Gallant needed to say to his team is, you are a bunch of babies. Shut up, go out there and hit the Devils. You are playing like they're better than you. Don't give them all the credit in the world. The New York Rangers played like Akira Schmid was Patrick Waugh. Like, seriously, they gave Akira Schmid way too much credit, and they didn't shoot the puck. We'll get into that a little bit later. All right, what's the second reason that the Rangers lost? Well, the second reason is the lack of physical play. Now, there is one key difference between this team and last year's team, and everybody knows what that is. Ryan Reaves did not have a physical presence on the top offensive lines. The only people making hits were on the defensive end. So when your offensive players don't check, and I mean literally hit people, you're going to lose the game. It's the way the playoffs are run. The third reason, where were the shots? Like, seriously, where were the shots? We'll get into that. Here's reason number 4, coaching. Gerard Gallant was stuck between a rock and a hard place. What was he supposed to do? Literally. Fans that are getting on Gallant's case, do you understand the roster that Drury gave him? And I'm going to put it this way. If you want to blame someone, you have to blame Drury. But there's no blame on Drury's hands. He put together one of the most incredible rosters ever. And he did it like a magician. I mean, how, like, if you watch the entire season, again, some Ranger fans don't watch the entire season. Obviously, if you're not a Ranger fan, you didn't watch the Rangers. But there was a week before the trade deadline that the Rangers could not play all their players. They had Braden Schneider sat on the bench for 2 straight games and was not allowed to get ice time. He had to dress and sit, but he was not allowed to play because of the cap restrictions. That's how a magician Chris Drury was. So the Rangers front office, Coach Gerard Gallant did everything they were supposed to do. The problem came down to the four reasons that I said. So let's dive into all these different things. So what about the mental game? Let's go back to reason number 1, the mental game. What is the issue? And one of the things that I do a lot with teams, with CEOs, with entrepreneurs, is understand, how do you need to think in order to win, in order to be successful? There's too many people that have guru leadership courses and seminars, and like they talk about, well, it's about attitude. And it's not. It comes down to one thing. What do you want? What do you want? If the Rangers wanted to win a Stanley Cup, not dream about it, not hope about it, not wish for it, but if they wanted to win a Stanley Cup, then they needed to go into each game with the mindset, I'm going to do everything that I can do. The Rangers did not do that. They were mentally not in the game. They were watching the game. Artemi Panarin multiple times went into the offensive zone with zero goal as to shoot the puck. He was not trying to score. He was not trying to win the game. He was not trying to dominate. He was trying to make plays. And that's not what you need in the playoffs. That's fine in the regular season. In the playoffs, if you're a superstar, it's your job to win the game. Artemi Panarin needed to shoot the puck every time he touched it in the offensive zone. Every time. And the fact that he doesn't do that means that he has the wrong mental game for the playoffs. He is a great player. Again, no criticism of Artemi Panarin. He is a phenomenal player. The problem is, in the playoffs, you can't be a player. You have to play as a team, and everybody on that team has a role. And that's what the Rangers didn't have. They didn't have roles assigned to each player. You're the hitters, you're the shooters, you're the passers, everybody needs to know what they're supposed to do. That's how you win. That's why Tampa Bay went to the Stanley Cup champion 3 years in a row. They won twice in a row and went a third year, beating the Rangers, who had a much better team last year than them, but they had every single player on that team knew their role. So you play within your role. What's Patrick Kane's role on that team? I have no idea. Now, Patrick Kane took upon himself to be like, look, this team, I don't know what they're doing around me, but I've won a Stanley Cup before, so I'm going to take over. In Game 7, Patrick Kane was all over the ice. There's no criticism of Patrick Kane. Vladimir Tarasenko was all over the ice. No criticism of Vladimir Tarasenko. So again, when you want to try to place blame, the problem was the Rangers that they had. Not the new Rangers, not the Rangers they brought in. In fact, the Rangers they brought in played better than the rest of the team. So that's a mental breakdown, and that's not on the coach. That's not on the GM. That's not on the president. That's on the players, and they need to own that. And I don't know, Chris Kreider, this season and last season were the first 2 times in his entire career that I have never seen him just disappear. He did that in the playoffs. He disappeared. And he used to do that earlier in his career. He would go 3-4 games in a row where he would score 4, 5, 6 goals, and then for 2 weeks, you wouldn't know he was even playing for the Rangers. He would mentally check out. That's what he did in this series. He mentally checked out. All right, let's get to the second. Physical play. Hits. You had Reeves last year who just hit anything that moved. Leading the hits for the Rangers was Jacob Trouba with 34 hits. Do you know who was second? Vincent Trocheck, 19 hits. Then Keandre Miller with 19 hits. And then Chris Kreider with 13 hits. That's it. 7 games. 7 games. And Chris Kreider hit somebody 13 times? You got to be kidding me. Like, where are the Rangers with actually playing hockey? Hockey is about checking. Forget about the forecheck. Just hit somebody. They didn't hit anyone. The Devils were skating around literally unchecked the entire series. And that's why they won. It has nothing to do with their talent. They did not have more talent than the Rangers. The Rangers just didn't play hockey. Jacob Trouba is a true captain. He is unbelievable. This guy did everything. 34 hits, and he laid out Timo Meier. Like, laid out. And that was a legal hit. Jacob Trouba is the man. All right, let's get to the third reason. So where were the shots? Like, seriously, where were the shots? Here's why you can't blame Gerard Gallant and Chris Drury. Right here, all right? Patrick Kane led the team with 23 shots. Guess who was second? Vladimir Tarasenko with 19 shots. And third was Jacob Trouba, your defenseman. Folks, seriously, folks, what are you telling me? So the top 3 players were not Panarin, Kreider, and Zibanejad? What? How is that even possible? And that's why they lost. Because these players were always going to get their shots. Kane was always going to get 23 shots. Tarasenko was always going to get 19 shots. So where are Panarin, Zibanejad, and Kreider? Why don't they have 19, 20 shots a game? What's the excuse? They just didn't have an understanding of their role. Kreider didn't understand his role. His role was to beat everyone up. That's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to crash the boards and punish the Devils. Zibanejad's supposed to shoot the puck. Zibanejad didn't shoot the puck at all. So why'd the Rangers lose? Right there. They didn't shoot the puck. All right, last. Here we go. Coaching. So, should Gerard Gallant be fired from his job? The answer is no. Now, if you're following Twitter, Ranger fans are getting all about that they want Chris Knoblauch to come in and replace Gerard Gallant. Now, I mean, I understand the knee-jerk reaction to be all over Gerard Gallant. Like, the Rangers played like crap. Like, they really stunk an egg in this 7-game series. I actually was shocked. I've been watching the Rangers for 40 years. I was shocked that they actually pushed it to a Game 7. Like, I did not think they were going to even win Game 6. So the fact that they showed up in Game 6 was a shock to me. So the fact that they lost in Game 7, playing the way they did pretty much the rest of the series, was not a surprise. It was disappointing because they were much better than what they showed up to be. But that's not on, Gerard Gallant. And here's the problem. Chris Drury gave him a roster. He literally magicianed it into, here you go, I'm going to give you 2 unbelievable Stanley Cup winning champions on your team, in addition to the guys that went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So I'm giving you Kane and Tarasenko, and just for good measure, I'm throwing in Mikkola and Tyler Mott. Just for because you need more guys who can play. And Gerard Gallant was stuck between a rock and a hard place. Because what was he supposed to do? Because the right thing to do as a coach was to bench Zibanejad, Kreider, and Panarin. Your top line. How do you do that as a head coach in the NHL? Like, you can't bench your star players. I don't know how you do that. But here's the problem. Average time on ice. So Kreider had 19.14 minutes per game. Okay, Zibanejad led with 19.27 minutes, and Panarin had 19.19 minutes per game. Okay, so over 19 minutes for all three of those guys. Do you know what their average should have been if Gerard Gallant was actually coaching this the way that you would coach a peewee hockey team? Those players should have had 15 minutes of ice time. 15. Do you know who should have played in this round? The other three lines. This line should have been the fourth line. Yeah, Panarin, Kreider, and Zibanejad should have been put together as the fourth line. And he should have moved all the other lines up and played them because those are the players that showed up. Those three players are the problem. And you're not getting rid of those three players. Zibanejad is probably top 5 center in the league. Chris Kreider, after 2 years, last year was a 50-goal year, this year was a 30-goal year. I mean, like, seriously, amazing player. And you're getting rid of Panarin? He's the only guy that scores on your team. 90 points this season. Like, you're going to get rid of a 90-point guy? The problem was they didn't know their role. The problem was they walked into the playoffs thinking that they could just win, and that's not how it works, especially in the first round when literally every team starts from the same position. When you get to the second round, now it's where the punishment and the talent starts to separate each other. When you get to the conference finals, like, you really are beaten up. That's what happened to the Rangers last year. They were beaten up. So Tampa Bay adding more punishment, checking them, being on them, not letting them, skate around the ice, they just wore them down, and that's what happened to the Rangers last year. They wore them down. The Rangers did not wear the Devils down. The Rangers did not hit them. The Rangers did not shoot. The Rangers did not have the mental game. That's the problem. So anybody that's calling for Gerard Gallant's firing doesn't understand hockey. They don't understand this roster, and they don't understand what's going on. Now, what do the Rangers do for next year? Well, to be quite honest, they can't keep Kane and Tarasenko. They can't keep them. It makes no sense. They cost too much money, and what are you going to do with them? They have plenty of rookies in their farm system. Brendan Othman is amazing. Like, they have so many guys that can come in that they need to get production from. This team is built to win. That's why it was happy that when Chris Drury made all of his moves, he didn't give up any players. Now, some players asked to leave, yes. So Vitaly Kravtsov, we lost Vitaly Kravtsov. That's a problem, but it's not as big a problem as it would have been if we had given up Keandre Miller or if we had given up any other guy. Like, that's the issue. The Rangers need one more guy on offense that can hit. So Kreider didn't do his job, so who can come in after him? And that's the problem, is the Rangers don't have another big forward. That's what they need. Now, Tarasenko just costs too much money. I'll just put it that way. Like, the Rangers, they went literally to the salary cap. That, like I said, for a week, they had a player sitting on the bench, dressed, but not allowed to play. That's dangerously close to the salary cap. So the Rangers need some room in order to make moves at the next trade deadline next year. So they can't keep all these players. But obviously, Keandre Miller needs to stay. Trouba needs to stay. All of their defense was unbelievable. They have the best 6D in the league. Their D is great. The problem is the offense. The problem is their top line. The problem is the mental game. And honestly, that's got to be up to the players. They got to come to work to say, we own this. We're not going to let this hurt. We're going to make this better. And that's it. Look, I'll put it out there. Rangers, you need some help with the mental game. Call me. I will stick a fork up their butts and get the Rangers ready to play for next season. Because I'm telling you right now, that was not a team effort. That was a bunch of individuals who were trying their best. That's not going to work. Not in 2023. Not ever. When Messier played, that wasn't going to be the way that the Rangers took over a series. And in fact, that's the kind of thing, is because Messier was the captain and the offensive player, he could take over and just say to the rest of the players, get out of my way. See, that's what Gretzky used to do. If you watch, so I used to work for Major League Baseball productions and NHL productions. And so when I started my career in TV, TV and film, I actually got to watch all of the old Gretzky series from back in, the early 80s. And I'll tell you this, when the camera was on Gretzky on the bench, you have no idea the level of intensity. We're talking about a 19, 20, and 20-year-old kid. There is no 19, 20, 20-year-old kid in this league that has that level of intensity. If you did something wrong, Gretzky was in your face. Don't do that again. Just give me the puck. And literally everybody on that Oiler team knew, just give Gretz the puck. He'll do it. He'll figure it out. He'll tell us where we need to be. He'll tell us what our role is. So Gretzky told Jari Kurri, you're shooting. Don't pass the puck back to me. If you pass the puck back to me, you're off this team. And that's the point, is there's no role. There is no role. What is Panarin's role? What is he doing? He walks into the offensive zone to do what? He's creating plays? No, he's not. He's just skating around. The reason that Alexis Lafreniere has no game is because he doesn't know what he's supposed to do. The reason that Kaapo Kakko hasn't made that next leap is because he doesn't know what he's supposed to do. Both of those players are world players. They're world-class athletes. Alexis Lafreniere is sick with the puck. He can do things that most players cannot. And Kaapo Kakko, I'm telling you right now, if he just goes out there with Chytil and Lafreniere and they just go like this, we're just going to put on a clinic. We're just going to run circles around everybody. But they got to know who's cycling, who's shooting, who's passing. Right now, all three of them are trying to do all three things at the same time, and that's what happens. They run into each other. I don't know if you've watched most of the games, but I'm telling you, over the course of an 82-game schedule, Lafreniere and Chytil and Kakko ran into each other behind the net more times than I could count during the cycle, because neither one of them knew who was supposed to do what. And that just comes down to the mental game. That comes down to team chemistry. That just comes down to guys saying, look, I'm going to shoot, you're going to pass, you're going to skate. So if Kakko's going to be the one to control the puck, then Kakko, you control the puck. We're going to get open for you. We're going to get open for you. That's how you play as a team. You support your teammates. You support your line mates. Everybody on that line needs to know where everybody else is going to be. Why? Because then you know what? I got to get to this spot, because if I get to this spot, I can get it to my teammate. And then they need to know, what am I supposed to do when I get the puck? Am I supposed to shoot? The Rangers were looking for the perfect shot. There's no such thing as a perfect shot. Wayne Gretzky said you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Guess what? The Rangers didn't take any shots, so they missed them all. End of story. I personally, if I'm coaching the Rangers, I personally tell the Rangers, shoot the puck. And if they tell me, well, the guys are going to block it, I go, then shoot it harder. I like when the defensive players block the puck. Shoot it harder, because now they're laying on the ice because they're hurt. And now skate around them. Now you got 5-on-4 because you just shot the puck into one of their feet, or one of their legs, one of their sides, or one of their heads. They're laying on the ice. You can't blow the whistle if you have possession of the puck in the offensive zone. That's it. They block the puck, but they can't block a second one. Shoot the puck into the Devils. Shoot it. Knock them down, and then shoot it again, and then shoot it again, and then shoot it again. When the Rangers play shooting gallery, you can't beat them. Literally, this roster was unbeatable, and the Devils beat them Not because they're better, not because they played a better game, but the Rangers literally didn't show up. And that's probably why Ranger fans are so, they're melting. They're having a meltdown because the Rangers were better than the Devils. The Rangers were better than most of the teams in this playoffs. The only team on paper that the Rangers were not better than were the Boston Bruins, who also had a meltdown in round one. Because in the NHL playoffs, round one is about teamwork. You have to work as a team. Your talent level is not that much better in the first round if another team decides that they're just going to do what they need to do. And the Devils did that. They deserve credit for playing a good, solid game. They deserve credit. They deserve credit to go into the second round. But I'm telling you right now, the Devils do not have the talent to win a Stanley Cup. They just don't have the talent. Last year, honestly, the Rangers overplayed because they did not have the talent to win a Stanley Cup. Even if they beat Tampa Bay, which really was a hard job, but if they had beaten Tampa Bay, they would have lost to the Colorado Avalanche. They just did not have enough. They would not have been able to defend against Colorado. It just was not going to happen. So that's my point. This team, though, was loaded. This team had more talent than the other teams, but they didn't have the mental game. And then all the three other things that I said. Hopefully you like this assessment. Hopefully you hit the like button. Hopefully that you subscribe. If you like sports cards and the sports behind the sports cards, please hit the subscribe button, and I hope you join me for the next one. If you like hockey, some of you have found me through the hockey hashtag. I appreciate it. I like talking hockey. I don't want to dive too deep into it because there's not that big a hockey audience on YouTube, but please let me know in the comments what you thought, what you think. If you're a Ranger fan, how long you've been a Ranger fan, and what do you think the Rangers need to do? Who can they bring in, or what rookie do you think is going to make the biggest impact next year? Thank you for joining, and I'll see you in the next video.